this unboxing is a box of books from a kid's book about. And I'm not sure if they sent it to the right person. I mean, they did send it to me, and it is the correct address. But it's titled Imagination Soup, which is my friend Melissa Taylor's blog. And she's awesome. But I don't know if that was just like a database error, or some field got messed up. But I'm excited because I actually bought a kid's book about structural racism, and I think the books are terrific. And also, I know Matthew Winter, who has really awesome podcasts, was recently brought over there to work full time to do podcast series for them. And so it's quite a stack, so let's just get right to it. So a kid's book about is a whole series, and it's titled, a kid's book about, and then it just has various topics. And it's written by different authors who have expertise on the subject matter. So this one is a kid's book about immigration. It's by M.J. Calderon. And these are kind of like, picture books, but they're like sophisticated in that they don't dumb down the subject. They don't make it like, overly simplistic, but they kind of treat the reader as someone who is asking the questions and deserves to know, the answer in a way that kids can understand, but it's just, it's not like a black and white or like a very simple explanation. It's kind of like, like if your kids ask you questions and then, you actually go and you research it, and you kind of cover all the nuances and explain it very simply, but like very clearly. So it's kind of genius like that. And so this one doesn't have a lot of illustrations. It's actually only just words. And so the author is an immigrant, and so he's writing this from his perspective. And they just use font and color and graphic design to make the pages interesting. And so this book it's like a book about immigration, but it's also about the undocumented. And it looks great. Okay, the next one has a pretty colorful cover. It's a kid's book about climate change by Zanagee, Artis, and Olivia Greenspan. And I think so these books in general, I think, are great, written, read together, grown up and kids, that, you actually get a chance to discuss and answer questions. So, see how bios in the back? This one has further reading. Okay, so let's just go through this. Yeah, so most of these don't have, it's actually not illustrated. It's just, I think this whole series is just text-based and design. Okay, so this one again is about climate change. Because I was like, wait, what? Going to be sick forever? Oh, but no, they're talking about the planet. So the kids' book about also, these are like very timely topics. And so it just talks about what happens when the earth is sick. More floods, fires, droughts, and food shortages, which, if anyone's reading the news, can see, we're literally living through that right now with the massive fires on the West Coast. And, I mean, there's fires everywhere, all over the world. Right now, I'm on the East Coast, so we've had hurricane after hurricane. Anyway, the next one is a kid's book about sexual abuse by Evelyn Yang. And that's a heavy topic, but I feel like it's an important one, because how do you protect kids if you don't talk about, appropriate and inappropriate touch, And like, that's the great thing about this series, is that it takes a topic where, it's something like you want your kids to know about, but you're not quite sure how to approach it. They kind of give you the words and the expertise and just sort of a format to sort of read it together with your child. I also have a list of books about inappropriate touch that are also picture books that are illustrated, and I'll link that in the down box. The next one is a kid's book about feminism by McIlroy. So it's great. It combats, this idea of are girls better than boys? No, are boys better than girls? Or just, I don't know, gender equality. And also it addresses sort of, what does gender inequality mean? And so therefore, what is feminism? Is it, people can have different, sort of thoughts or images of what is a feminist. But if you just think about it, or the way they explained it as just, gender equality, that's a good way to think about it. A kid's book about depression by Kileah McIlvain. Also a great topic, because that's also something that, maybe that's more of a middle grade subject. But I think a lot of us, kids and adults, have dealt or experienced depression, especially during these COVID pandemic times. I feel like any child who has been, trying to learn in a school setting, especially if, they were not in person for a long period of time, had to deal with isolation and not seeing their friends. And I feel like all of us suffered from at least a mild case of depression just from being in uncertain times and being cut off, and just the difficulty of the pandemic. And it's interesting too, like this whole thing is in purple, which is like, I don't know, maybe purple is a social emotional color of I don't know, maybe it's like, it goes from darker to lighter, but in purple. But I feel purple's like an emotional color, and it goes from dark, like a darker time, to lighter, but still, I don't know, maybe purple's depression or just emotions. A kid's book about disabilities is next on my pile by Kristine. And it has a smiley face there, so that's interesting. I'm not sure why that is the only illustration here. But it's just about learning from someone who has a physical disability. All right, we have 4 more. A kid's book about body image by Rebecca Alexander. And I was reading, or my sense is the only way to really teach girls to have a positive body image is to just have them play sports. Because sports teaches them that their body is strong and capable, and the purpose of their body is to perform, for athletic things. You train your body, and then your body can do these amazing feats, whether it's, kicking a soccer ball or running or jumping, and that's what you should be proud of and, ask of your body, to be capable and strong, versus the media, which can give a different message, especially to girls, but even boys, and so, yeah, so I think we can see from the series that it is pretty consistent. It takes on topics that are, maybe difficult to discuss or just definitely, newsworthy, and it presents it in a simple, clear way, but very thorough, and it's text-based, but easy to read, engaging, but there's not illustration, not, drawings. So the book about bullying is by Elizabeth Tom. And interesting, they do kind of this, learning how to write as if it's like elementary school. And this bullying shows a lot of emotion. It has a lot of drawings, compared to all the rest. That looks great. The kids' book about racism was one I was trying to buy, and it was like sold out for the longest time. So I'm thrilled to have it here. I ended up buying a kids' book about structural racism, which was terrific, and by a different author. This one's by Jelani Memory, and that was also sold out, so I just bought it as an ebook and read it on my phone, and I used it for an upcoming Multicultural Children's Book Day classroom kit that we are releasing next week on structural racism. But I know I think I was able to view like maybe a trailer on this book, because I was like, oh, should I do both books or just one? And I just knew it was just, it was just really like a well-covered topic and timely. And I feel like this is like the iconic book for a kid's book about series. Like when I think about this company, it's this cover that comes to my mind. It's sort of very clean design and, an important topic. And the last one is a kid's book about anxiety. Also a great and timely topic. This is by Szabo, the author behind Happy Faces. They do a really good job matching the person to talk about the topic. And anxiety and depression, I think, go hand in hand. And certainly, as the whole world is sort of grappling with the Delta variant of COVID and going back to school, potentially in person, and going back to work after working from home, and just, worrying about, is there another variant, like the Lambda? What does that mean? I just feel like, how are we not all suffering from heightened levels of anxiety? And so this is great because, you don't really see anxiety as something that, as like a, sort of a topic that, you see it in picture books, like when kids have, it's sort of like the topic, like a particular, like sometimes it's animals as the protagonist or whatever, but it's more like describing a situation when someone's anxious and how that picture book character gets through that. But this is really about tapping into how each person is feeling, like the reader is feeling, and describing emotions so the reader can relate to themselves, and then kind of validating the feeling, and describing why why that can be a scary feeling, and then kind of I feel like it gives you sort of tools by just identifying a feeling that's uncomfortable and worrying. So thank you so much to A Kid's Book About, and I hope I didn't get Melissa Taylor's books by accident, but if that's the case, just tell me and I will forward the books to her. So thank you all for watching.